What is up, everybody? I am back with another video. Today will kind of be the start of a new series on my channel because I now have Microsoft Flight Simulator 2024. So, doing a little stuff here. Anyway, I did intentionally wait a while before making the switch over just because I wanted to see more slate level airplanes in your sim. Well, third-party airplanes in your sim, which there are some here now, and plane run on the way. So that's pretty interesting. But anyway, as we go through the video, I will kind of be able to showcase with you guys some of the new features I really love about the sim. So anyway, let's get to talking about our flight, right? We are flying the Airbus FS2024, that's a B-21, operating JetBlue from Port Lauderdale over to Cancun, so that'll be pretty interesting. Just shy of 2-hour flights over the Gulf of Mexico. Alright, anyway, before we start our walk around, I would like to go over a little overview of the weather, how things will be looking. So let's get to that. Get my OBS recording for a second. Here we go. Got that on the screen. Let's make this, I'd say, a little bit bigger. There we go. So you guys can see it. Alright, we're already on the airport weather page, so let's just take a look at this. The weather in Fort Lauderdale is perhaps pretty calm, other than the little bit of wind. That's not too much. That's not too much of the winds. It's not too windy. We have a 14-knot tailwind. We're taking off 10 right, or 10 left rather. Correction, 10 left. There's a 14-knot tailwind. So that's what our departure will be looking like. Should be a pretty smooth departure. Alright. Anyway. But actually, I was looking at this. I didn't think it was down here, so later on, we should start to get a little bit of gust over here. Maybe around 600 in Greenwich time, 6 a.m. in Greenwich time. Should get boost up a tailwind, but we may be able to get wind gusts up to 26 knots, so interesting. Still a calm night for flying, except for those winds right there. But they're not too much of a caution. We can start with that there. But anyway, going to our destination over here, which is Cancun, obviously, as I just said. The winds over here are a little bit calmer, but it may be a little bit cloudier, and that is okay. But other than that, very calm weather to flying in Cancun, so our arrival should all be pretty smooth. And for our alternates, see how that's looking. Felipe Carrillo, however that is pronounced. Puerto International. photo in the Nashville. Okay. Yeah, that's looking alright. Once again, good quality, but winds and everything are calm. Well, we have 9 knots of winds over here. That's 70 degrees. Not exactly calm, but winds are not too bad. So our altitude looks pretty good. We do not need to consider extra fuel. And that's great for us in the airline. When we take a look over here at the map, we do not see any jet stream, so we should not run into too much turbulence. And that is great. Alright. Let's close this now. Close this now. Alright. Come back over here. Let's start a walk around. And this right here is perhaps my favorite new feature in the flight sim. We walk around and along with the flashlights. That's very much appreciated as well. Making nighttime walk-arounds in the dark so much easier. And that is lovely. But anyway, let's start with our walk around here. Starting with, of course, the text, and they look perfect. See no issues with the condition. This set of ports look great, and the stickers are removed. The avionics look great. The oxygen bay is closed. Oxygen discharge light is green. The P-dot tubes are great, and they're not blocking again. The TAT probes and ice detection probes, I can see both of them, so might as well just check both of them. They look great, no blockages, no buildup of ice or anything of that nature. Moving on to the nose. The nose is perfect, no signs of any collision or anything. The avionics bay looks perfect. The GPU looks, the ground connection panel rather, looks great. And that brings us over here to the coast gear, which looks great. No issue with the condition or anything. The gear, let's start with the tires, right? Fully inflated, no punctures or anything. The gear structure looks great. The rotating also great, and the landing lights are great. And if we take a peek up here into the bay, see no issues, no animals or foreign objects resting up in here. And we're moving on, and that brings us over to the right side of the fuselage. I'm going to take a look at I'm going to start with the P-dot tube over here. Next, the 2 avionics doors. The air inlet over here. The other ports, those stickers, that's great. The cargo door is latched near the AOA. The air looks great. Signs of damage. Moving on, gonna walk on down, check the antennas, and they look perfect. That springs is all over here, that brings us over there. The ram air inlets look perfect, they're not blocking anything. The beacon lights looks perfect. The mag fuel level indicator, center mag fuel level indicator is flush into the frame. That springs over here to the right, leaving the stabilizer. Looks perfect. R1 and R2 mag fuels look perfect. The fuel panel looks perfect and is latched. The landing lights looks great. And that brings over to the engine. Two critical IE engines. The cowls and panels are latched perfect. The reverser lockout pin is stowed. No issues in the rear of the engine. No animals, foreign objects, and no signs of damage. Perfect. Over here, reverser lockout pin is bestowed, and cowls and panels, cowls and panels all latched, and the drain master here is not leaking or anything. All right, perfect. We're inside the engine now. And blade looks perfect. No issues there. We are moving on down the right wing. All mag fuels are flushed into the frame. Engine refuel door is closed, and the stabilizer looks perfect. No issues with that. Bringing us to the edge over here to the sharklets. It's my sharklet. It's on the right wing. Condition is great. All satellites are in place, and the flight controls are great. Moving on, right wing gear. Tires and brakes look great. Structure looks great. The locking springs look great, and we see no issues in the back. Moving on. Fuel drain vent is not leaking anything, and that's great. Antennas look great. Over here to the rear of the fuselage. Abin bolt cargoes are closed. The water and waste surface tanks are closed and not leaking anything. And the outflow valve back here is wide open, and there's no issues with the condition, and it's not blocked or anything. Alright, perfect. We're over here to the rear of the aircraft. I'm going to check our flight control surfaces. Stabilizers, elevators, and rudder all look perfect, and that jet logo looks nice, lit up like that. Alright, over to the tailpipe. You see it is exhausting a little bit of fumes, perfect, and we see no blockages on the fuel. Alright. Left side. Left wing flight controls look great. All satellites in place. Sharklet looks great. The nav and strobe lights look great. Stabilizer looks great. Mag fuels all flush, and the refuel door over here is closed as it's supposed to be. Alright, we're over here to the left engine. Everything looks good. Cowls and panels latched. Pin stowed. No issues in the rear. Pin stowed over here. Cowls and panels latched. No leaks coming from the drainage. Fan blade looks perfect. No dents, no cracks. Leading edge, left wing, stabilizer. Looks amazing. Mag fuel is flush. Landing lights looks perfect. Landing gear looks perfect. Tires, brakes look great. The structure looks great. Locking springs look great. And oxygen like walk around is complete. That springs back up there first. And we can hop up into the office over here and get our airplane ready for flights. Alright. Let's come over here first. Get our equipment. Right. Yeah. 599 passengers. Because thought I said 183. Let's look at those weights. Oh yes, I do. I probably just left it on auto. That's okay. That is okay. And the cargo. 11.4 thousand pounds for the bags. Alright, here we go. Now, more importantly right now, let's check on our equipment. See what we're working with here in the plane as pilots. Yeah, brake fans, DCD system, that is all great. Let's make sure the cabin lights are on and nice and bright, 100%. Here we go. Yep. Alright. Now at this point, we can start refueling and boarding. Or refueling first. Oh, no. Actually, almost forgot about that recall. Normal on the recall, that is great. The airplane is safe for flights. So now let's refuel.
Refueling truck is on its way. Please don't load aircraft until the fuel truck arrives and ask to do it.
Alright, that's great. Alright, let's do a data check. Active data is the current data. Perfect. April 17th, May 14th. Today is April 21st. In Zulu time. Where I'm at is still April 20th. And happy Easter, happy late Easter. But anyway, let's come over. No. Alright, end the page. Make sure that's right. It is. But before I uplink here, I want to uplink in the
fuel truck is in position.
Data link.
Please don't load aircraft until the fuel truck arrives and ask to do it.
Let that drop in there. Here we go. And we're gonna do the same thing here. That takes a moment. Okay. Perfect. That blue. 2095-2095. That's our flight number. Let's see what our cost index is, because I don't know if I can recall that right now. Alright, 6 on the cost index. And our flight altitude today will be 360. And let's pull up the flight altitude wind information rather. -51, -51 in the temperature. -51. Perfect. And that brings us down to our flight plan. Runways, says and stars. We have the Glasgow 4. And we should have the loose transition. Oh. Inserts. We'll try to get there. Let's load our fuel, which is, let's see, times and weights should be in there. Fuel 17.4. And I'll enter it here. We'll enter 17.5. Sure, I actually entered that. 17,500. Here we go. Alright, perfect. Just coming out of that. Refueling should be alright. I'm gonna wait for the fuel truck to leave, and then I'm gonna start the boarding process. Okay. Okay, let's go to our secondary flight plan. We'll copy active. We're gonna enter our DLC engine out. Departure, engine out procedure. So let's start with this for Lauderdale. Runway 10 left is the first in alphabetical order, and of course Lauderdale. Ooh, I said KLFF. Foxtrot Lima Lima. Click spots. What the? Does not want to let me click the 0 for some reason. Alright, we're heading 96 and we go 25 miles out. Store. And we can enter that right in here. No, actually, no. There we go. That's how we're going to enter that. Let's go back. Enter runways. Enter left. Call that a day. Go back. Lauderdale X-ray 1. And destination also Lauderdale, quick turnaround. We go vectors to 10 left. Perfect. That is our engine out procedure right there in the secondary flight plan. We're at nav. That is still blank. We haven't pushed on the ADIRS yet. Just because when we start the boarding process, I will ask for the tug to be connected for quicker departure times, and of course that's going to move the aircraft a little bit as they lift the wheel into the tug, and I don't want that to mess up our aligning process. Let's press boarding now. That request go through. That's sometimes GSX does like to get a little funky. That. At this point, I'm gonna actually open the cargo doors for our bags, because sometimes GSX does not like to open and close them for us. Ground handling. Like my sim is freezing now, huh? What's going on here? Are we frozen? Is this gonna crash on me now? Come on. Yes, let's connect the tug, please.
Crew boarding starting.
Alright, seems like my stuff is acting up a little bit. It's quite unfortunate. What's going on? Hey, 20. Range is dropped by 20, huh? Okay, that's what happened. VRAM. I am using Sim Update 2 Beta. Guess that doesn't really fix it, huh? Because my computer has been struggling to run the sim. Okay. Seems like it's unfrozen now. Close this. I'm gonna get rid of that. That's still up there for some reason. A little bit strange, perhaps. But it's all connected anyway. Alright. So now ground equipment has disappeared. Quite unfortunate. Alright.
Hello, Captain.
Like
We are ready for
sorry about the
pushback.
business sim over here. Things are now working properly. And we're going to start boarding our passengers soon. So that is great. Let's continue with the procedures and everything. We're down to the Init 2 page. And for that, I do want to wait for the final sheets.
Departure checks completed. Bypass pin inserted.
And we get all of our bags on board. And our weights and everything match our flight plan. So anyway, while we wait for that, we can start our chart briefing. And let's see if that's disconnected. Yes, that's.
Your food has arrived.
Not actually connect. This is from the airplane. That's okay. So now anyway, let's start our alignment. It's up here with our gears. Perfect.
Welcome on board.
And there go our passengers boarding.
Hello. This way.
Alright. Go to Latitude 4. Get a departure for flying. We will take off from once we're left. Here's the briefing. I like to look at it from here. So here's what it looked like. Take this U-turn. We are going to take off from heading, of course. Left turn heading 005 to Elbow. Another left turn 026 to room at above 4,000.
Good evening.
Another left turn to Yolu. Left turn to Lima Rick.
This way.
And from there, we're going to continue on. And
Hello.
vectors to Gator. Okay, pretty simple departure.
This way.
And we can cross-check all of that in here. Our flight plan. The gears are aligning, so we cannot really see it on our secondary display just yet. So we can cross-check it from here. We have our altitude restriction for 1,000 and above at room. Have a runway heading, of course.
This way.
And we have all the waypoints in there that belong. And we have Gator at about 5,000. And flight plan Discon. Vectors to Gator, of course. Alright. Arrival now.
Welcome on board.
That will be the Rosats 1 Bravo.
Hello.
We are taking runway 12. I think not into that. Okay.
Good evening.
Arrival. And we definitely should have 12. Runway 12 right. 12 right. 12 right. Yep.
May I see your boarding pass?
Just did forget to enter that. Here we go. Sat and Bravo. And cross-checking just reminded me.
May I see your boarding pass?
And we're going to insert that right on in there.
This way. This way.
Alright. How things are looking here. Let's go over the briefing first and do that cross check.
Hello.
And here's the briefing over here. We're going to have Amara and Suin continue waypoints, continue to the waypoints, altitudes and track.
Hello, traffic, Julius 2466, over Tango, we're going to be taxiing to run 10 right via Tango 8 as Juliet 1.
Between flight level 220 and 200.
This way, please.
Max 280 knots, Nacho, 200,000, 250 knots, max. Arm plus, below.
Welcome on board.
amp plus. They mispronounced that. Plus.
This way.
Applemus. 14,000 and below.
This way.
Uniform November 500, 8,000 and above, max 220 knots.
Hello.
Uniform November 522, 6,000 above.
May I see your boarding pass?
Again, next 100 knots at 3,000. And rear dog at 3,000. Perfect. Alright.
Good evening.
And for rear dog, yo vectors to final, of course.
Hello.
What is this here? We can't get rid of it. Looks fun.
Hello.
Like that being there. But I'm going to ignore it. Sake of the video. Let's just ignore that. Does not want to go away at all. Well, let's do a cross check over here. No knots it. These are knots. At above 200. See that. Hot show at above 18,250 knots.
Good evening.
Atmos. Below 14,000. Info November 500 220 knots. At above 8,000. Uniform November 522 6,000 at above 515 at about 5,000. And at Erdem 200 knots at 3,000. And Redog we have 3,000 again. And we go back to the final.
This way.
Here we go, that's our briefing. Let's check on the boarding.
Hello.
Alright. Seems like our bags never seem to load.
Good evening.
Well, I would just instant this. And wait for the GSX to finish.
Hello. Hello.
Alright.
Welcome on board. Boarding pass, please. This way. This way. Hello. Welcome on board.
Alright, at this point, you know, go through the. I forgot to turn on that recorder. Anyway, let's go through the overhead flow and everything. And our passengers are now finished boarding. Go ahead and turn that on. Seat belts, no smoking. Annunciator lights. Not missing any bulbs and none of burnt outs or anything. Everything looks great. And we can fire test the engines. Alright. Like we are good to go. Let's dial this up to 16,000 just because when there are controllers active monitoring for Lauderdale, planes coming out of Lauderdale are usually cleared up to 16,000 initially. Our squad code, I believe, is 2121 that we got from the Auto ATC 2151 actually. Let's enter that. Not yet. Here we go. M1 advisory here. We have guard on standby. Alright, we're looking good so far. Should have our final little sheet up and ready now. Let's enter that info. We have 17.3 on the fuel. $155, 0 fuel weights, and a center of gravity of 27.7. Oh no, that actually says 156.5. And let's go to our alternate and reserve fuel. More sim lag, huh?
A 466 position wrong. Function right and traffic on fire, please advise.
Alright, there we go. 2.9 and 2.8. We have 33 minutes extra time. Perfect. Performance.
Hello, traffic guard, WP for 66 secure. Once you're right, departing by FS2024 to Lauderdale.
More lag, okay. Alright, weather conditions. We have dry weather. Don't worry about any of that. So let's sync the load sheets and sync the live weather. That's already synced. Perfect. And all of that is correct. Our temperature is 3016. So let's enter that. 148, 153, 153. Trim, alright, flaps and trim, 2 up 0.3, our flex is 55, 2, oh, oops, we have 55, our Earth reduction is 1510/1010, rear AGL, and engine out 1510 AGL. Perfect. And our MCDU brief flight procedures complete, and we are pretty much ready to go. Let's come over here. Starts. Preparing for a departure. Dealing with more lag here. Alright. Documents. Alright, cockpit preparation. There's some pins are removed, well, except for that safety pin because of the tug that's there. The fuel quantity is 17.3. Seatbelts on, adheres. There's nav, all nav, and aligned. Altimeter is 3016, so let's dial that up. Actually, 3016. Alright, cockpit preparation checklist is complete. Now we can, let's say hello to the passengers first, and we can prepare to get out of here. Hello, ladies and gentlemen, this is your captain speaking from the flight deck. Welcome aboard JetBlue Flights 2095, bound for Cancun. We hope you all have had a pleasant day, and more importantly, we hope you all have a safe and enjoyable nights with us on board this aircraft. As a reminder, please keep your seatbelts fastened at all times when the seatbelt signs are on, and smoking is prohibited at all times during the flights and on board the aircraft. It looks like my sim is lagging again. VRAM was narrowly improved. Repeat announcement. Electronics must be kept in airplane mode or switched off. During our flights tonight, or rather for departure, things shall be looking really smooth with a little bit of bumps here and there. Have a little bit of mild wind gust. Shall expect a little bit of mild wind gust. So we might have a slightly bumpy departure climbing out of Lauderdale tonight, but the rest of our flights is expected to be smooth sailing. If you have any questions, please do not hesitate to let some of our lovely flight crew members know. Once again, we hope you all have a safe and enjoyable flight with us, and we thank you for choosing to fly with us. The current time is 9:48 p.m. and we shall be leaving the gates in about 4 minutes. Alright, perfect. Nice little key announcement there. Let's shut that off. Alright, anyway, let's get ourselves ready to go. Alright, before start checklist, parking brake is set. Takeoff speeds 148, 153, 153. Set. Windows are both closed. And the beacon, before we turn that on, make sure we have other things set over here. This transponder, let's get that on first. Let's make sure we're clear on our departure because that beacon does, oh, more importantly first, let's Make sure all of our ground equipment is clear. Let's turn off the external power. The APU is a bus. And we can get rid of that. Close all of our doors. And now they know when to close. Okay. Let's close these, please. Here we go, now they're closed. At this point we can close the over here, the left door, left forward entry. And now we can turn on the beacon and that's completes our before start checklist. And that shall trigger
Locking gear.
There it is. There it is. Triggers the departure. Prepare for departure on GSX. Make sure we are clear right and clear on the left before we go back. There we go. Right. Things are good. Things are looking good so far. What's going on? Alright. We're still waiting for the ground crew to get things ready. That's GSX is malfunctioning again. Let's continue to push back, please. Let's go tail right. Tail right.
Release parking brakes, please.
Thank you.
Commencing push. All engines clear. Start at will.
In the cabin. Well, I don't have to. This is the Airbus. Pilots typically do that in Boeings. That's right. Alright. Very clear to start engines. Let's start the left engine first. Starting engine 1. And 2 is rolling now. Perfect. And we have fuel flow coming in. Alright. Spooling up. Here we go. Left generator is on boss. We have a good start on engine 1.
Please
And
set parking
engine
brakes.
2.
Waiting your confirmation for a good engine start.
And 2 is rolling. Alright, there goes the fuel flow. Perfect. Alright, things are looking good so far. And we have good start on engine 2. We can get rid of the tug, but first, let's get our APU off. There's our own bus. ECIs is not needed. The temperature is 15.
Cockpit to ground. We have a good engine start. You can disconnect. Unlocking gear.
Controls. Flaps 2 for takeoff today. Ground spoilers. Mounts. And we can check our flight controls. Full left. Full right. Neutral. Full up. Full down. Neutral. Rudder. Full left gently. I did hear from an Airbus pilot.
Tow truck disconnected. Bypass pin removed. Left is clear.
Hard.
Right is clear.
Kick rudder hard. That actually slams. And that might frighten some of the passengers. Center. Full right. Gently. There we go. Neutral. Alright. Flight controls are good. Good to go. Let's go to our checklist over here. For the start, the anti-ice is not needed. ECAM status checked. Pitch trim is up 0.3. And rudder trim is neutral. Great. Alright. Looks like we're good to go. We are. Put on those lights. Let's brighten up the cockpit a little bit so we're not in need of the dome lights, because we don't want it on while we're taxiing, because we want a clear outside view. So now we're getting to runway 10 left. Let's take a quick look at our taxi charts, ground charts. Look at 10-9. Oh, that's Cancun. Oops. Silly me. Oh, here we go. We are here. 10 left is over there, so oops. Let's erase that. Oh, pretty easy. Angle 5. 5 Charlie. And go Bravo. Alright. Go all the way to, let's taxi. No. We'll go here. Alright. Here we go. Easy. Angle 5, Charlie Bravo. Bravo 3. Lauderdale traffic, JetBlue 2095, taxiing runway 10 left. Angle 5, Charlie Bravo, Bravo 3. Alright, we're good to go. Taxi light comes on. Let's turn on and turn off lights. It is dark. We want to illuminate around the aircraft. And that dome light goes bye-bye. let's check the brakes. Let's look at pressure gauge, brake check. Pressure 0. Alright, that's our cabin crew. Cabin's ready.
The cabin is now secure for takeoff.
Thank you. Much. Back over here. Alright, our aircraft is rolling a little bit. Great. We go. Going up this way. Perfect. Another aircraft. I hear him announce takeoff, or is he landing? Looks like he's landing. It's slowing down. It's coming into the airport.
Traffic, good evening. Tree Fox 23, leaving flight level 340, descending to the right to arrive Orlando.
Let's do our taxi flow now. Alright, so our brakes max. Oh, and the transponder over here. So PA. Gotcha, it just forgets. Anyway, flaps 2, configure for takeoff. Ground spoilers armed. The radar. Let's turn that on. Windshield prediction on. And hit that takeoff config. No blue. And the airplane is ready for flight. All we have to do is taxi the rest of the way to the runway. On the Bravo 3. It's not too far from where we are currently. Maybe pick up speed a little bit. Taxi. And Bravo 3 will be coming up soon. Next turn. Let's break it down. We'll start to break it down just a little bit. Good. Airplane is rolling. It does mean to roll. And I'm braking using my keyboard. So, kind of tricky to try to brake gently. Alright, anyway. For takeoff checklist. Runway is 10 right. At this point, we can get our packs off, and let's announce. Lauderdale traffic, FS2024 lining up 10 left. Alright. Get our lights configured here. Any lights. Go. Come on. And strobe on. And we are ready to go. Clear left and clear right. Alright. You know what that issue is there. I think that's a bug within the Phoenix. Let's see, I'm about to clear it. I recall. Let's try hitting the recall. Yeah. Alright, there we go. Now it's clear. And we're gonna take off at this point. The plane must have technical difficulties right before takeoff, huh? Perfect timing. Lauderdale traffic, FS2024 taking off 10 left. Ooh, that was quite a turn, huh? Alright, here we go. Let's get it moving. Oh, 1.2 EPR, okay. A bit higher. Let's hit that. Flex. That's basic. Here we go. And flex 55 SRS. And runway check. Northwest blue. 80 knots. Stick slowly, 100 knots. Hit neutral. Gear up. Recheck flaps 1. And we're starting to lose a little bit of airspeed shot at the toga. Let's follow the flight director. Alright. The director is starting to pitch us down slightly a little bit. Alright, 1 to 10. So yeah, let's go back to the time of climb to 10. Pull those thrust levers back. Here we go. Speed check flaps 0. Alright, after take out checklist, then gear up. Ground spoilers off. And we can start getting the packs back on. 10 seconds in between. And the runway turn offs off and those lights off. Off here. Wow, left right there. And let's get back to that one now. Almost forgot. And I'm gonna hand flight up to maybe about flight level 250. Run the autopilot on before 280 for the RVSM, of course. Pause that. Did pause it kind of late. Very smooth departure as well. Alright, lag in the sky though. Come on. My airplane does that. Alright, we're over to lean the right. But in about 5 miles, I will direct to Gator. And we're past 10,000. So, landing lights come off. Tim's starting to lag a little bit. Not good, not good. Not a very good timing either. We are stuck again. Quite unfortunate. Ooh. All I really can do is hope the next update fixes the VRAM issue. Because I might just hop on Prepare 3D, play with some of the best airplanes in that. So I still have that on my computer. I did uninstall FS2024 just to make space on my computer for new sim. Oh, airplanes were thrown around. Still fighting the lag here, I see. Turbulence is causing a little bit of lag, I see. The seatbelt signs are staying on, but landing lights off. Over 10,000 now. Alright, so reality. Oh, that was really lag with turbulence. That was in, well, I don't know if really turbulence was in play of that. Definitely know about the lag. Ourselves down a little bit, and winds are calm, so and we're over the cloud. Well, not really over the clouds completely. air very like cloud slow. So seatbelts can perhaps come off. And we are 5 miles past. So at this point we're going direct to Gator. Alright, and at this point we're climbing up to 360. 360. Here we go. And we're going to pull standard. And the cabin pressure is normal. Perfect. And we're flying. Alright. Running the aircraft a little bit. Should not have too much of a crosswind. We're only getting 2 knots. Yeah. We'll get that Microsoft Flight Simulator flight dynamics. It's not always perfect. Alright. Game's a little bit better now in 24 than it was in 2020, definitely. Didn't see that. Gently up to 360 now. Seems like smooth sailing to me. As we predicted, as we saw on our flight plan. Very accurate, very good. Climb a little bit. Let's pitch up a little bit rather so we don't overspeed. entrance now. I'm definitely well above 5,000 feet. And we're starting that turn. Alright, perfect. Things are going well. I can improve a little bit on my hand flying. Not too bad. It's not as bad as it was when I first started flexing. Really, got a little bit better, but I still have room for improvements, I would say. Alright, so we got a flight level 250. Let's kick on that autopilot. And autopilot's taking over for the rest of the engine phase while descent. Autopilot is taking over until we are on final. And one thing, let me come over here, right? Ooh. Now, another funny bug, a little minor bug. The cabin lights go back to 100 at takeoff, even though they do dim once you leave the gates and start taxiing. You find that a little bit strange, so remember to turn them off after the takeoff for passenger comforts and for the situational awareness more importantly, so that door lights leading to the emergency exits are illuminated. So let's check it out. Here, if we take a look, right, those floor lights, nice and bright in the cabin. Look at that. Alright. Let's get in the seats. Nice. Let's go for an outside view. Now, I'm gonna take a screenshot, but this one here. No, not too much. Pretty dark. Yeah, take one of the daytime. Right, anyway, since we're on advisory, we're not really communicating too much with the aircraft or ATC. I will mute my mic for the rest of the en route duration until it comes time for preparing for arrival. Alright, I'm back on the mic. So, as you can see, we're about 7 miles from 10%, so perfect time to start preparing the rights. Let's now I did already brief the arrival since it was a relatively short flight, so don't need to do that now. Saves us a little bit of time to do everything else rather. So first, we'll leave that page up. Let's go to our performance, 64 miles, 100%. But let's come over here. Here's the page. So we look at let's get our weather information rather for Cancun. Oh, wait. Other requests. We'll put that here. There we go. Send. Leave messages. There we go. Weather data. Alright, let's take a look. We have lighter winds today now. Lighter winds. 120 knots at 10. So we have just a 10 knot tailwind. Perfect. Here will be 3001, and the skies, let's see, for 7 miles. Clear 7 miles. Scattered clouds. The weather is great. Alright. 2001. Temperature is 27, dew point 22, winds 120 at 10. Perfect. Transmission level will be 180. In our barrel, we look at the charts rather. Let's go look at our arrival. We shall be facts at this point. Oh, not arrival, approach rather. Correction. 1-2 right. They just choose X-ray. So here's how things will be looking. Nice and easy. Our barrel, if we can plug it in now, will be 220. Oh no, 460. I'm tripping. 460 over here. 460. 460 into that right in there. Perfect. Our DME will be 111.1. And everything else looks good. Let's look at the miss approach. Climb, of course, 125 to Uniform November 580. And proceed and miss approach to 3000 at Fields and continue according to ATC instructions. Alright. We can see that here. And of course we should have breathed over this first. Well, I did get the DME, 111.1. Final approach course, 125. Uniform, November 545, cross check, mandatory, 1300 ILS. The decision altitude will be 220 feet and airport elevation 22 feet. Alright. Perfect. Pretty simple. Alright. Landing. We have flaps forward for landing. And we'll take that. Perfect. Now let's come over here. Now we're going to right. Let's refresh the METAR. And we're going to apply that. Altimeter is... What? Should I refresh it again? 1002, huh? They give it 3001. Well, I guess let's correct that. 3002. And 128. Diving. Alright. Now let's apply. In our landing weights, here we can take our gross weights and subtract our estimated fuel on arrival, which will be 8,000 from 165 minus 8. Will be 157.8. So we'll put that here. Alright. We shall have an easy arrival, we shall have an easy landing. So idle reversers and low auto brake, the ideal configuration. Let's set that. There we go. And let's see, we're about 17 miles from the top percent, 16 miles. We're coming straight in, coming right in. Perfect. Everything's looking great so far. Go back over here. Alright. Get our RADF page. Make sure everything's great, everything's correct. Yep. Don't even mess with that. Everything's good. So at this point, I'll pre-select light level 200. We'll be at our first restriction. Get on those constraints and zoom on in a little bit. And let's think the cabin. I forgot about the announcements. We're about to cross our top percents, and everything's great. Alright. Here we go. At this point, let's select 20,000. Let's go for that profile descent. Everything's looking great on the descents. We are right on the, perfectly on the descent path. Love how well the plane is managing it. Well, perhaps it is slipping away from the target speed, but we're not over speeding or anything, so that's great. Not gonna use the speed brakes right now. want to use the speed brakes as least as possible, really, to preserve life in them. Still perfectly on the descent path. We're about to cross one side in about 2 miles, less than 10 miles an hour. Everything is still looking great so far. Checking our cabin pressure. It is descending. Our cabin is descending. That is great. Going up to 5,000 at the moment. Crossing the sides. Let's go 18,000 feet and 2002. Altimeter 3002. Descent path just like that. Phoenix does a very good job maintaining the flight path accurately with minimum assistance. Love that about it very much. Yeah, it is perfectly compatible with Microsoft Flight Simulator 2024, but sure is really good in the sim right now. That Cancun up ahead. I can kind of see it. Oh, it is kind of dark. Still below 10 miles out, so let's take a look. Yeah, 57 miles out. I'm getting closer. this point, I will turn on the seatbelts. Now, I do not know the exact procedure on when to turn seatbelts back on in JetBlue Airlines, but that is a pretty safe time. This is a pretty safe point of time on your flight in general to turn it back on. Price at 20,000. Alright, here we go. Let's descend to 13,000. Perhaps what's the restriction after? Let's go 8,000 rather. Into clouds clear, but I'm not really seeing anything up here. The weather radar is on. Let me try to turn that on. Okay, we're good. We not need anti-ice helmets. Do we need anti-ice? Not seeing anything. Nope. That won't show anything really. Really gonna pass over the clouds, so no need for anti-ice. point, we're about to exit 10,000. And we're still coming in right nice and easy, so at this point, let's get on our landing lights. Crossing 10,000 feet, landing lights on, seatbelts on. Perfect. And we may need speed brakes after crossing uniform. Well, at this point, we might need a little bit of speed brakes, so I'll pull them out. As we're about to cross uniform November 500, speed restriction is 220 knots. So yeah, slow the airplane down. We want to be slowing down a little bit. This point. Alright, and let's go 6,000, speed check flaps 1. Oh, nope, not yet. No. Not safe. Alright, there we go. Alright, same speed for flaps. Speed check flaps 1. Here we go. Just coming down. Perfect. And let's get rid of those flaps. I mean speed brakes rather. Cancun does agree for Guslets, and there's the airfield right there. We'll continue and go final turn right there, uniform Lima 540, direct to that. And come straight in. Perfect. Alright, so anyway, at this point, we can go through our approach checklist. For our ref is QNH is 3002 and that's set. Seatbelts on. Minimum is 460, 460. Auto brake, minimum, low auto brake low. And remote selector, norm. That's required, okay. And we are about to cross uniform November 522. At that point, we can go 5,000 more altitude. Here we go, 5,000. And we're on advisory, so no. Actually, maybe we can already get 1,000. Maybe we can start our final turn before we cross. We got a little bit before. Alright, we're down to 3,000. Here we go. Cross sir. Damn it, 3,000. Over 200 knots. Here we go. Coming down nice and easy. Perhaps thing with a little bit of fog, huh? Alright, 200 knots, speed check flaps 2. Here we go. I'm going to do that actually. Good. Speed check flaps 1, 200 knots. Alright. But everything seems looking great at this point, so we'll perhaps start our turn, our left turn. Heading 215. And now at this point, I'll start slowing down. Speed where it's at 215. Testing that landing system, and the info is correct. These points, we have the localizer, right? We do have it captured. Just keep on going. And at this point, perform limit 540. Localizer captured. Cancun traffic. JetBlue 2095 on localizer for 12 rights. Oh, 2000. Alright. Should really cross 1000. Missed that. flaps 2. Yeah, flaps 2. And we're on final now. Alright, let's cross check. Uniform number 540 at 2000. Military. And we should go into approach mode. Here we go. Here we go. On final. Alright, speed check. Laps 3. Landing gear down. Go. Flaps full, speed check. Here we go, flaps full, and split is armed, and landing no blue, landing check is complete. And we shall start descending. So are we? So hold. See if we start descending. Quite strange, isn't it? Oh wait, still at 10 miles, that's why. That's why we're holding a little bit. It's okay, we shall start descending momentarily. Yeah. Oh yeah, that is right. Correct. Cabin, seats for landing. Alright. Cabin's ready. Oh, I forgot. I'll have to do that for the Airbus. But now it's on the Airbus. What is going on here? Alright, yep. Final, there we go. Capturing. Traffic, FS2024 on final 7 miles out. Runway 12 right. Go back and go back inside. Alright. Do the same thing on final. Nice and easy. Nice and easy. At this point, again, turn offs and nose light to take off. Here we go. Maybe I'll turn off autopilots after we exit 1000. Uniform limit 545 across that 13,000. Check.
500.
500. Go. Right in. Right in.
100 above.
100 above.
Minimum.
Continue. $100.
50.
50.
30. 20. Retard. 20. Retard.
Ooh.
10.
Oh, very rough landing. Ooh. Alright. Versus. Sim decided to lag very hard at landing. Almost like crash landing, huh? And we did not exactly get idle first, so great. Lag really messed up my landing. Oh, it's not very hard. Let's clear all of this. Alright. Clear all of that. We want to clean the airplane up just a little bit. And after we vacate the runway, clean up some more. Let's taxi a little bit faster. We want to exit the runway a little bit. Oh, it's an exit up here. Slam those brakes a little bit. Alright. Very hard landing. Feel like it was frame drops, sudden frame drops really kind of played a role in that right there. But we didn't damage the aircraft. It was still a safe landing. And all of our passengers on board are walking away from it. Also, those on board are able to walk away from it. And that is the great part about it. Alright, we can stop the clock. Cancun traffic, runway 12 right vacated, JetBlue 2095. Alright. Wait. Stop, alright. On the ground, let's clean up the aircraft. Alright, flap 0, ground speed is disarmed. And weather radar comes off. Click spots. Alright. Let's perhaps stop. Click spot is a little stubborn. Not click it. What's going on here? Here we go. And we're gonna vacate rights. Configure our lights. So let's keep that. Landing lights are off. Lights coming off, and those like the taxi. Strobe auto. Hello, ladies and gentlemen. Hello, ladies and gentlemen. This is your captain speaking. Welcome to Cancun, Mexico. As a reminder, please keep your seatbelts fastened until the airplane comes to a complete stop at the gates. Our current time is 9:35 p.m. We hope you all had a safe and enjoyable flight with us, and we hope to see you guys again someday. Anyways, enjoy your stay. Let's call for a follow me, because I'm not too familiar with Cancun. Pretty sure JetBlue parks at like Terminal 5 or something, or I don't know. That's all that's available. But that's all that's available, huh? Parking. Okay, there we go. Here we go. Find some gates. Just do a random. Not too familiar with. That's the request they follow me. Or Mexico or Talma GSX choice. We'll go with that today. He is moving in that follow me car, isn't he? Huh. So where are we going today? Where's the follow me taking us? I cannot see him now. Bring us around. Follow me car. Oh, back in here. Thank you very much for taking us where we need to park. Gently again, haha. Really doesn't work as planned. That my frames are dropping, aren't they? Human sim update 2. I will say the frame, well, the VRAM situation is slightly improved, but it could definitely be better, much better. Still not all the way there yet to where is desired, but a little bit better than Or slow it down. That'll be under 10 knots. And we're gonna park right here. Thank you very much. Wait, oh yeah, I'm tripping. I thought that was a gate. Still finding it. Perfect. Here we go. So we're right in here today. There's another airplane right here. Well, let's choose the gates next to it. Rather. Well, GSX does not say that gates was not available. Let's change. Let's change that. It's the one after it. That's 17.
The requested position is already assigned to another aircraft.
Okay. 17.
The requested position is already assigned to another
Are
aircraft.
every one of them? Okay, which one is not taken? Not finding. That is number 10. I'm gonna take that. Shall shut down there. Oh, that's the ramp on the gates, rather. What is that? It's one right there. Can't exactly see it. Keep going. See what that looks like. See it. That is number 15. Park. We'll take and 15. Thank you very much. Go follow me. Possibly. Like the person, yep. Got the name of that person. Guy who directs the airplane into the gates. Break it a little bit. Break it down, break it down. This airplane does want to roll. And here's where we are going to shut down engines and disembark our passengers for the night. So we'll come right in nice and easy. Nice and easy. just wants to roll and roll, doesn't it? Stopping here. Alright, thank you very much. And we got nuts. Customers to tell me to shut down the engine, so stopping here. Parking not too terrible. Could have been a little bit better. But we are shutting down engines here. APU is running. Alright. Let's turn off the taxi lights. Definitely that runway turn off. Pretty bright, isn't it? And at this point, leave the dome light off, I will shut down engines. Let's power them down. Alright. Here we go. Now we can shut down the beacon. We can turn off the beacon lights. At this point, we can deboard. Alright. Parking checklist. Alright, yeah. Alright, parking. Turn off the seatbelts. No smoking. Alright, parking checklist. Parking brake is set. The parking brake sets. Engines off, wing lights off, and fuel pumps. Those come off too.
Passengers deboarding starting.
Ladies and gentlemen, when
Bye,
disembarking,
everybody.
please take care and hold on to the handrails while walking down the stairs. Please ensure that you supervise your children.
Alright, so here's where we are in the video. So if you enjoyed the video, stay tuned for more. I'll try to post much more often than I have been. But anyway, please like and subscribe if you enjoy my content, as I always say. With that, we are out of here. Like the passengers disembarking their airplane. Alright. That's where we are in the minutes. And I could work on my parking skills so that you got no turn. Alright. That's it.